This client had $700,000 of income every year and still had credit card debt. We're going to talk about this plan that they had today, and we're going to talk about the advice that we gave them of how to help them get out of this situation. So I first want to preface this of, yes, they are not necessarily making the smartest decisions financially, but they are getting help, and at the end of the day, that is most important. So what we always try to advise people of is, hey, go get help. Yes, you may not be doing the right things. Yes, you may not be making the right decisions, but you can't get out of it unless you get help is ultimately what we're trying to share. So at the end of the day, we're going to talk about their situation, but I want to definitely applaud them and praise them for getting the help they need, and now they're in a better spot because they've taken the bold step of stepping up there. So let's talk about why they were in this situation first and foremost. Well, because they're making such a high income, both of them are high executives in the companies that they work for. And if you know anything about executives, they're extremely, extremely busy. And so when you have not only your work that you're working over 40 hours a week, but you also have kids, you also have a marriage, there's a lot that has to get done, right? And so for them, they were having a really hard time finding time. And so they were finding themselves spending money on things that they just weren't able to really track or just really be able to pay attention to. So like, for example, they would go get Amazon packages and go get 5 Amazon packages that would come to their door every day, and they just wouldn't think about it. But that was just reality for them. You know, they don't have the time to cook, so they were consistently eating out and consistently ordering meal preps that just cost a lot of money versus just going to the store and buying some stuff and cooking it themselves, right? And so for all those reasons, that's why they're where they're at. They just haven't been paying attention, but more importantly, they don't have a plan. And so what I always tell them is, we can't change the past, but we can change the future. So the 3 things that we told them are, 1, we need to do financial coaching. And so what financial coaching means is more opening up the book of what does money mean to you? What is the purpose behind money? And so in this process, we ask a lot of hard questions like, what does money mean to you? What are you struggling with financially? And through that process, we were able to open up that money for both of the spouses meant different things. For one, they wanted to grow wealth. The other, they wanted security. And so they kept colliding and not being connected on what their goals were, and that was causing some mishaps there. One wanted to do something, the other didn't, and that caused some frustration. And so this was even deeper problems, not only financially, but also with their marriage. And so because we're able to help them with that coaching, financial coaching of finding what the purpose is of why we're doing the planning we're able to lead them into a better place, not only financially, but also with their marriage as well, which is obviously very rewarding for everyone. The other thing to consider with the financial coaching is you never want to put someone down, right? I mean, think of it as something else, besides financial. Let's say you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to be on a diet. Well, if you tell someone that, you're overweight or, hey, you shouldn't eat that it may not be their choice. They may not want that. They just simply, it's just how it is, right? And so typically people always want to be better. It's just a struggle to do that because we're pulled in so many different directions, right? So we had to basically get their focus down to see, hey, what do you really want to do here? And hey, it's okay. You can't change that past like I mentioned, but we can change the future. And so the other piece with that financial coaching is we had to hold them accountable. So we were almost their accountability partner. And this is for a lot of the clients that we work with. We find ourselves being that accountability partner and just making sure, hey, at this date, you're going to have to do this. At this date, you're going to have to do this. And for them, that is very encouraging because we meet again and they don't have that done. How do you think they're feeling? They feel like not only they've let themselves down, but they let us down and our team, the ones that are working so hard to help them get to where they are. For me, I think about it as I have a gym partner. I go to the gym with a friend of mine, and when he tells me I'm going to be at the gym at this time and I'm expecting you there, I don't snooze the alarm. I get up and I go, right? I feel very bad if I let him down. I feel worse if I let him down versus if I let myself down if I just weren't to go to the gym by myself, right? So that's just the mentality that we have as humans. And so we have to understand that that same mentality comes in play when we think about our financial planning. The other thing with this financial coaching that we had to really set the tone of is like they've done really well up to this point. Like they have $700,000 of income. Yes, they have credit card debt. But most of this credit card debt is just from, being irresponsible at certain times. They've still been saving and saving and saving into their 401ks and into their IRAs. So they're at a point where they've saved a great amount of money and they're going to live a great retirement if they get everything under control. So that's what we're trying to set the tone of telling them, you've done well, but we got to do better if we want to enjoy the retirement that we have planned. Retirement could still be successful if we keep doing what we're doing, but is it going to be as successful as we want? Or are we going to have as high of a chance of success as what we're looking at there when we look to coach people on that financial side? The second thing that we had to put in place for them was simply a budget. Now, we don't recommend everyone have a budget because everyone has different situations. Like, for example, I'll be pretty transparent. I don't keep a budget for myself. And the reason why is because I find myself pretty disciplined and I find myself pretty frugal. And so because of those things, I don't feel the need to have to put the extra work in that area. I feel there are other areas that I may want to put that work into. But if you're someone who's struggling, trying to figure out, hey, I'm spending way more than I thought, I just don't know where it's going, budget is a great way to start. So for them, we talked through a few different ways to do budgeting. One, we talked about having an online platform, track everything that they pay for with their credit card. The other thing we told them about, which is a little more work, but it's a little more, we find it more successful, is write down every purchase you have. And when you see yourself writing it down, in your mind, it's almost behavioral of like, oh, shoot, I don't know if I should have bought that, right? And so that's something that we'd encourage them to do, and that's something that they did. Another thing we encourage them of is, hey, maybe start paying stuff in cash. This isn't one we always recommend, but for them it seemed to work. And so they started to pay for stuff in cash. And again, when you're handing cash over versus swiping, it's a different behavioral sense there that you're touching there. And for them, it was very, very, very beneficial there. The third thing that we put in place for them to make sure that they were on the path of success is having a financial plan, tying everything together. We did the coaching part. We did the budget part. Now, how do we tie everything together to get stuff done now to set us up moving forward? And we did this through our 5-pillar approach. First thing is what we call the tax plan, making sure that we've got everything structured to reduce taxes over time. The second thing is the investment planning, making sure their investments are set up in the right way. The third thing is that income planning, making sure they know where they're going to get that money when they retire here soon. The fourth thing is that healthcare plan, making sure that they've got, hey, if something comes up, healthcare out-of-pocket expense, we don't have to keep going to that credit card. We have the money available to do so, and then making sure there are other, things like long-term care are going to be covered for eventually as well in the future. And then the fifth thing we looked at for them is an estate plan. They had gone all these years without even having an estate plan, and so we were able to uncover through their plan of, hey, you do have this issue of credit card debt, but we can easily fix that. If we can get this full plan and that in place, things are looking really, really good. And so for that estate plan, they just needed simple documents. They had a child, and they needed to make sure that if something happened to both of them or one of them, that child would be in a good place. And so that was something that was very important to them. So at the end of the day, what is the point I'm trying to drive home here is you typically need 3 things to have a successful retirement as you plan for it. And that first thing is making sure you're having that trusted guide, that coach to hold you accountable to making sure you're making the right decisions. The second thing is make sure you're not spending more than what you make. Make sure you have a budget. Maybe you don't need to go in depth of writing down everything, but make sure you're being mindful that you're not spending more than you're making. It's a financial principle that's very simple, but we always want to make sure people are aware of that. And then the third thing is make sure we have a financial plan. We can't go anywhere unless we have a guide. Make sure you have a written financial plan. If you just have in your head, where are you going? Are you capturing everything? We don't know what we don't know, and so we just want to make sure we have everything organized. So hopefully that can be helpful for you. If you like these videos, if you could help us, just like and subscribe to this page. That will help you get reminders for all the content that we do moving forward, and it just helps expand this page to other people so we can continue to help other people and get them the information that they're looking for. Have a great day.